We met, it's a very, very complicated story. We met in the RAF when we were both in the RAF, and I was interested in gliding, and I was engaged to somebody who was interested in gliding, who was best friend of Danny. And Danny was going to be my best man. And he ended up being an even better best man because he ended up marrying me. So that's how it all started.
What did you do in the RAF?
I was an aero engine fitter in the RAF for 22 years. And I ended up my life being what was called a crew chief. That was going and flying in V-bombers as a ground man. I didn't do anything, you just sat in the aircraft, and once you got to the other end of the line, got out and serviced the aircraft. So that was quite an interesting job to do.
What aircraft did you?
We were the old Victor aircraft with the V-Force. I mean, it started life in the Air Force around about 1955, 54, 55, the Victor came in, and lasted up till after I left the Air Force in 1977.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And
I was a dental hygienist, but I didn't join to be a dental hygienist. I joined to be going to accounts. When I actually came to the day that they offered the jobs out, the accounts was closed. So I looked at 2 or 3 other things, and there was an American officer there, and she said, "Have you thought of being a dental hygienist?" And I said, "What's a dental hygienist?" So she told me a bit about it and sent me off to the dental school, and that's what I decided to do. So I trained as a hygienist.
oh, wow, fascinating. Do you guys want to come in and sit in the back?
Yeah. I brought Rich up because he might have ideas on questions about guiding. Perfect.
Now, don't be too noisy. And no barracking.
So I want to ask, when did you start noticing? So Danny hasn't always been blind.
No, Danny became blind. How long ago was it that you became blind?
I started going blind in 2009.
And how did you notice that?
By driving down the A1 and closing my left eye because it was a bit tired, scratching it and realising that the lights that I was looking at in front, the tail lights of the vehicles, weren't there anymore. And all of a sudden I realised that I'd got trouble with the right eye. So we continued on, and as soon as I got back home, went to see the optician, and he immediately sent me back to my doctor, who sent me to the eye specialist, and they told me there was nothing they could do about that eye, but the other eye was all right, and he would keep it like that. So I was a one-eyed man for a short while. After that, the left eye very quickly started to go blind, and I had 15 injections in the left eye, and sadly that went, and in 2011 they declared me blind with macular disease, and I have about 5% vision on the perimeter of the eye, which is interesting because I look across to the left and I'm really looking at you sitting in front of me, you know. That's about the story of that, just how long it took, very, very quickly. Yeah. I've also got a detached retina in the left eye, so that's totally blind now, and just the right eye with some vision.
And how did it, when you first found out, or when you first went to the optician, and they told you that you were blind, how did that make you feel?
Yes, when that happens, it's a bit of a shock to your system, particularly, you know, I have bad hearing as well, and at the time I was sort of looking at people's lips to begin learning from lip reading and things like that, then communication suddenly becomes very, very difficult, for one thing. But the fact that you don't want to be blind, you want to be able to see, because so much is taken away from you, so much independence is taken away from you, particularly if you let it.
And how does it affect you, Dan?
I was concerned because the only thing he had was golf. So the only thing he really did, he'd retired at 65 and I'd bought him golf lessons just to give him something to do, really. So the only thing he had was golf. He couldn't get out without me suddenly, which made it even more difficult because we've always led, you know, although we're together, we've also led quite independent lives in some respects. So we've always had a car each, done what we've wanted, etc. So I was extremely concerned that, you know, he would want to give up golf. To start with, he didn't, because, you know, when it first all started, he could still see enough. And then as things slowly got worse, he had friends that would help him. But the real concern, when he first started, as it got worse, I actually found England and Wales playing golf on the internet. So I suggested that he might think about it, and it was absolutely no. No, I'm not going to. I am not going to go and play with blind people. I want to be like everybody else and play with sighted people. It's adamant he wouldn't. So he carried on playing with his friends, and that was fine. And he played with the seniors, and that was fine. And then as this got worse, his friends, one day, or one of the friends actually one day said, "We've decided we don't want to play with you anymore." Out of the blue. And you know, he was totally and utterly dejected, as you can imagine. You know, that's it, my golf's over. And that's when I went back to him again and said, "What about looking at England and Wales playing golf?" And this time he agreed.
And did you start out as his guide from day one?
Yeah, I play golf very badly, but I do play golf. So it was just natural to want to be with him and to help. And actually, I'm probably a better guide than I am a golfer. So, you know, so it does work. And I think I enjoy guiding him more than I do actually playing golf.
And is he an obedient guide?
Most of the time. The good thing is I have got a couple of other people that will play with him, and recently we've come across a younger man who is going out with him weekly when he can, and I have to admit he takes far more notice of him than he's ever taken of me, which just shows actually that it's sometimes good to have somebody else guiding.
His fists are harder.
Danny, how is Di as a guide?
Yes, I think it goes back to this sort of obedience, if you like. You know, sort of. She refused to say she would be obedient when we got married. That word was left out of it in the course, and I think I regretted that. No, that's not the truth. She's a very good guide, really. I've had some success at guiding at golf, some very good success at golf, and I suppose it's at least 50% down to her guiding me, and me doing what she feels, you know, what she tells me to do. So, yeah, it is. It's a 50-50 thing, you know, all the way down the line, and I couldn't do without her. I have used other people who've guided me. Philip, who's helping me at the moment, we're only really doing things around on the ranges and things like that. But I had somebody else guiding me, nice person, wonderful person, but not as good, I have to say. So yes, 50-50.
And Di, what is it about guiding that you like?
I think it's because you share in the successes. You also share when it goes wrong. But, you know, you actually, I just feel so good when he hits that good shot, when you set it up and it goes sailing off down the fairway straight, and it's the perfect shot that goes that little bit further, and you think, yeah, you know, it worked. I got it right, he got it right, and it all works. And I think, and it's a team, and I think that's what I like about it most, is that we are a team. It's not him and me, it's both of us. We're a team together and we work together. And as I said, it's just so wonderful, and it's wonderful to see how he feels and what good golf does for Danny as well. So, you know, being there and sharing that is wonderful.
Di, what makes a good guide?
You have to be very patient. I think that's the first thing. You have to get to know your golfer, because every golfer is different. I mean, I watch when we play, and everybody is guided that very slightly differently. So you have to get to know your golfer, what they need, how much they need, and then work with that golfer. You know, so you know, you can't. It's very difficult sometimes not to get impatient. You know, when they hit a bad ball and then they hit another bad ball, and you think, that isn't my fault. But you can't really get, you know, you've got to try not to get cross, just to gently advise, and if you can, notice what's going wrong. But it, you know, so that I think it's just the patience and working with that person and being willing to listen and learn with them. It's helpful if you're a golfer, but you don't have to be. As long as you're willing to learn a bit about golf and how it all works, that's fine.
And Danny, what with the other guides that you've worked with, other than Di, what makes them good?
What? Sorry, again?
What makes other guides good?
What makes other guides good? Oh, yes. Sometimes their experience. You find that there are a number of people out there who have given something already back to golf, that, you know, they've been successful themselves, and they come out of being a successful golfer to become somebody who wants to give this back, something into it. And I think those sort of people who have a willingness already to give something back. I'm not just talking about blind golf as such, you know, any sort of golf. Going back and giving young children a chance, for instance, you know, that's somebody who wants to do that sort of work, the willingness to do it shows that they are, you know, prepared to help, and they will put their heart and soul into it. I think, you know, they're really first-class people, and there are a lot of them out there. You know, they'll give you something. They'll help you.
Good. How has the charity helped?
Oh, I think it's partly the social life, and we'll go back to the story that we always tell. When we first started, I phoned Andy one day and we were talking about what we could do, and he said, "Oh, I love it, you know. And before you know where you are, you'll be playing for England, and there's the World Championships, and there's this, that, and the other." And I laughed, and I said, "Danny is nearly 80. I think we're past that." And Andy said, "Well, we'll see. You know, they'll be surprised." And I went back to Danny and said, "This is pie in the sky. It's ridiculous." No. Well, we've now played for England 3 times, and Danny's decided that because it's a long week, he's not doing it anymore, but we're unbeaten. So, you know, we've retired unbeaten, which is fantastic. And so that was the first opportunity to play for our own country. Absolutely wonderful. And then, just before COVID, we actually qualified for the World Championships in South Africa, in Cape Town. Now, unfortunately, it got delayed, but finally last year, we actually got there again. How would we ever have done that any other way? No way in golf could we have got there. And it's things like that. And then it's also the social side of things. You know, I mean, we're friends. We're all friends together. And I think that's what's so good. You know, it's just a big social gathering. So it's more than just playing golf together. It's the social side of it. And what it does for our mental health, I think especially for Danny. You know, that when he's feeling a bit down, he knows he can get back there and the friends will be there. You know, I know that I've got friends on the other end of a telephone. I think Angie and I probably converse somewhere or other every day. I know we are both on the board of England and Wales Playing Golf, but even then it's the friendship that goes with it, which is so important.
That's incredible. Danny, how does it feel to play at the World Championships?
How did
it feel to play at the World
Championships? Yes, that is something very different. Of course, you get there and the standard of play in general is so much better than anything you've ever seen, and it's remarkable how it pulls you up a little bit and helps you. But it was fantastic to get there to that World Golf, play with all those people that were there. I have some great memories of it. Standing in the foyer of one thing, me, the oldest man there, standing beside a giant of a young lad, 22 years of age, and the youngest man there. And we're, you know, all there because we were blind, but he was a great golfer as well, Tyler. And you make friends with people internationally. And as somebody said at the end, at the final dinner, it may be 2 or 3 years before you meet those people again, but you remain friends. Next time you see them, they're still your friend. They're still there. And you look, when you look for them and you find them. And there's some really great guys that went there. And it was a privilege, in fact, to sit in that little buggy that we had, and there on the front of the buggy was my name and a Union Jack.
That's incredible. Yeah. And I just have one more I want to ask. In a short sentence, can you sum up sort of why England Wales blind golf is so important to people like yourselves?
I think because it gives blind people hope. It gives them something to do physically. It helps them mentally. It's just a wonderful organisation.
Oh, my one. I suppose if I was to write it down, I'd say that it's given me companionship, friendship, and an understanding of other people's needs as well. Not just blind, of course, but others. Yes.
That's amazing. You two are incredible.
My son goes on the internet and he answers comments made by others, people like Andy, who've commented on my golf or my ability at golf. Sometimes it's been irregular. And he will be chatting back to Andy on the internet. And he has some great fun doing that. And it's been quite a time for them. My grandsons have joined in that and have last year challenged me to golf because of blind golf and what they did, and their friends all want to play with me. My youngest grandson is to be married this year, and his future wife's father was a professional. He wants to play because he wants to see what blind people can do, because he's heard the stories. So the stories through the media, through internet, etc., are getting out and showing what fun we have, because obviously they've come into what we've got and what we've had. So those stories are getting out and they're getting into the communities. And people are, lots of people at the club, sort of thing that I belong to, are always asking questions about what happens. Because my pal, who isn't such a good guy, as I've said, but my pal, who came to kindly when Di was unavailable one time, because she was dog minding, to guide for me in a championship, one of the championships we had, came because he was my pal to help me. Afterwards, he's joined England and Wales Blind Golf. He's not just joined, he got involved, and he's involved in helping us in one of our committees, Peter. Now, that was all because of blind golf and because what he saw that we as blind golfers got out of golf. And Philip, who I'm now with, is interested as well. Now, Philip isn't yet ready to come forward and do anything, but he wants me to take to him at some time the glasses so that he can look through the glasses. But he's sharing his experience with helping me on the internet with his friends. So our message and the fact that we are serious golfers and that we're enjoying our golf and friendship that we get from it is out there and getting out there. I don't know, the more people, of course, the more better. But that's a little story, really, of my experience with my family and my friends, of how our message is getting out there, but how the friendship grows and how it deepens because of just because we joined Blind Golf 8 or 9 years ago, and because I was fortunate enough to have some success. I think that's about it. Can't think of anything else to say on the subject.
Right, and you asked how I think it affected our marriage. I just
Yes,
don't
miserably.
think it would.
I've lost it.
I just don't think it would have been the same. I would have, if Danny would have really and truthfully had nothing to do and sat at home, I really think he would have turned into a miserable old man, and he hasn't. And he's kept young. He's kept doing things. So, and we've been able to do things together. And that's what's so good about it, you know, is that we can actually share this together. We can get out together, we can do it. And there's so many other things we can't. I mean, our golf club had a Christmas social after Christmas everybody was invited to. There's no point in us going. Danny can neither see the people around him properly nor hear the people around him properly. So he's sitting there basically with lots of people on his own. Whereas that doesn't happen in blind golf, you know, because everybody has problems. And although I might have to say, well, Danny doesn't hear very well, it's understood so quickly because we already understand about disabilities. So it's understood so quickly. And he doesn't have to be the one left out. And when he's out on that golf course, he's the most important person out there. And when he's standing at the front picking up a cup because he's won it, it's just absolutely fantastic. And yes, the grandchildren are often right on, that's my granddad. You know, and we've heard them say this, that's my granddad on there. You know, we've been on television, that's my granddad. And they just love it, you know, so it is fantastic. I mean, we've got great-grandchildren now. They're not really old enough to realise, but they will be. And I think, you know, they're going to be the next ones that are going to say, that's my granddad, as long as we can carry on.